The follow-up is simple. Ask a question, listen to the answer, then follow up. I'm your host, Noah Kozlov. Enjoy.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Follow-Up Podcast. I'm Eden, and this is my dad, Noah, and every week we sit on my bed and have a different conversation about something I want to talk about. And this week, because I watched the news, we're going to talk about all of the shootings in the country.
Yeah, so this week we were watching the news, as we do every morning, and that's another episode of the show that we talked about.
Yeah.
Do you let your kids watch the news? So you can go back and watch that and have that conversation. There was the shooting in San Jose, where that man walked into his job and killed 9 people. And you said to me, we were at the breakfast table, and you said, why do so many people have guns?
And and use them to shoot people.
And so we had a very brief conversation about it then, because I didn't think it was the time to go into all of that, but I remember saying, you don't need to worry about it right now. And there are a number of things on the news when certain stories come up that I say, hey, let's turn it off, or let's hit mute. And this one wasn't one of them, and I haven't. My mom and I haven't turned it off.
I don't know why.
For those types for these types of stories. Number one, I want to make sure that you know that you're safe. Okay, that the number one job for us as parents is to keep you safe. And the number one job of your teachers in school these days is to keep you safe. And whatever adults you're around is to keep you safe. So I don't want you thinking about it. But when you see these things happen, it's scary. And when you ask, why do people have these guns?
It just doesn't make sense.
I can't answer it, because there are so many people who feel so many different ways about this, but no country has more of these shootings than the United States.
Right.
And it's easier to get guns in the United States than anywhere else.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense why all the shootings would be happening here.
They happen in other places.
Right, but most of them are here.
But so many shootings happen here because some people are just so angry with life and their own situation, and sometimes it's mental health. So there's a mental instability that they're not totally aware of what they're doing, and there's never an excuse for it. It's horrific.
Yeah.
But there's got to be stricter laws to get guns, and also certain guns like assault rifles and things that they use in the military you shouldn't be able to get that as a regular citizen.
Only if you're in the military.
Right.
Or if you're someone who works for the military or needs it.
Right, in the military.
In the military.
Right, exactly. And in order to get a driver's license, and I don't know all the rules and regulations around gun laws, but to get a driver's license, you've got to go through courses and take tests, and so why shouldn't you have to do that to get a gun? And if you have real reasons why you do need it, and maybe that process should be a whole lot longer. If it's maybe you like going hunting, okay, then maybe you can get a hunting rifle, but why anybody else would need pistols that are used to kill people? I just don't know. No.
It just doesn't.
Do you ever think about it outside of when you see it on the news?
No, I don't.
That's good. Do you ever feel in school or anywhere else? I guess school would be not so much this year since you haven't been in as much, but do you ever feel not safe because of something you've seen on the news, specifically a shooting like that?
No.
No? That's good. What else did you think about when you saw that story specifically?
I don't I just don't know what I felt.
Did you think about? I mean, my first thought is those families.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because it's, you hear on the news, you hear the story of the person who did the killing, the murderer,
Right.
who had the gun, and then you get into all these reasons of why this person, their motive, why they did it. But I think just as important are to hear the stories of these people that they killed, and how senseless it is, and I just can't imagine being one of those family members.
Yeah.
Like, you see the person go to work and then you don't see them come home, and that's, I can't imagine anything worse. Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do think about. But oftentimes now, and I want to hear more of your thoughts on it, that these stories are so frequent that you've got to stop yourself from saying, "Oh, again? All right, what else is on?" Like, "Oh, all right, what else is on the news?"
You have to, because it's like they're happening like again and again and again and again. So it's like there's nothing else.
Right, but
There are, but
Right, but I'm saying is that you don't want to become desensitized to it, meaning that, like, oh, just another shooting? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, another shooting? Okay. Because each one is
important.
significant. Yeah.
And it's important. Like, each one is important in a different way.
Mm-hmm. But something has to be done about it.
Right.
Like, the government needs to do something.
Government needs to make more laws about it. One.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they are happening, like, more than once a week.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly. Like, but, I mean, they're happening all the time. They're happening all the time.
One after the other, after the other, after the other.
Right, and when something happens that is terrible over and over and over again, and we don't do anything about it, that's the definition of insanity.
And it drives me nuts.
Right, that it just something that just keeps happening over and over and over again, and there are things that we can do about it, yet there are certain people in this country and the government that don't want to do anything about it.
And then they have to have a vote on it.
And then they vote against certain laws.
And then what if it doesn't get passed on?
Right. There was a number...
And it's a problem. They shouldn't have votes, so they should just do it, basically.
Right, exactly. It should be common sense.
Should be. They should just do it. They shouldn't be, well, now we should have a vote.
Or, well, I don't know, this organization donates a lot of money, so we can't tick them off.
Like,
There should be no excuses. Like,
yeah, there should just be do it. Like,
these things are happening, then we need to stop it. And ever since, so a number of years ago, before you were born, there was a shooting at a elementary school, and up in Connecticut at Sandy Hook, and a guy killed a bunch of kids. And everyone in the country, it was devastating. But everyone in the country thought, okay, well, now things will change because this happened to children, and school was the most. I think I mentioned this to you before. Like, school was where all kids should feel safe, etc. And this happened in a school, so now everything will change.
Nothing's happened.
And nothing changed.
And nothing's happened for a very long time.
Right.
And that makes no sense. Why nothing's changed.
Right. How could
nothing change about that? That makes clearly no sense.
Right. Is there anything else that, any other questions about, here, come a little bit closer, anything else about that situation, or anything else in the news that you've seen recently that you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
One of these days when we turn off a story, we'll explain. There are just certain things that maybe it's not the right time, but I started reading a lot of things about how to talk to kids about certain things at different ages, and look, and I also think every kid is different, how you speak to them, and the number one thing was just making sure that your child understands that your child is safe,
Right.
and that that you will do everything you can to protect them. That's your job as parents. So that's what Mom and I will always do. But there was also some things written about, like, well, you shouldn't tell your child certain things because then they're going to be thinking about it. It'll make them anxious. It'll put different thoughts in their heads, which I understand, but I also think that every child is different. And so you know your child and you know what they can handle and absorb and what the world is really like. Mm-hmm. And we talk about a lot of things. Yeah. And if there's anything ever that, and on this podcast I've been talking a lot more than you have, but if there's anything that you really want to talk about when it comes to anything that's, you know, difficult, it might be a difficult conversation, you know, you can just ask.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I love you.
I love you so much.